Hello, beautiful souls. Well, I look like I just woke up because I just woke up. So, my spirit gave me a download when I woke up, which is, that wave state you're in, and when you're coming back to your body and you're coming back with information of things you learned in the night, not only your dreams and what you saw that you didn't like and don't want anything to do with, or what you may want in the future, or something from the past. We're going through. To me, dream world is when we're receiving our information from the astral realm, people call it, which to me is internal. I'm a receiver for the internal being. So the world, mostly with channeling and with anything else, everything is from the outside in. So now I try to relate more from this is what I am, and I'm receiving frequencies, and then I'm thinking through them in the dream state with symbology and pictures and things that relate to life and the people that I've experienced life with, because that's the only way, to bring it down here. Excuse me. I'm going to change the lighting on my camera. So the way the world gets in these cycles, where we get to the point where we're going to have what people call a reset, which I believe totally has to do with our own mind, and I totally believe that can be hijacked, of course, by how the external is governed and what goes on in the world. But nonetheless, they're cycles, and they have to do with nature and with the stars and the planets. This is all my opinion, vlog again, which is why I don't put on my comments. I'm sharing, and I know what Spirit's called me to do, and so I'm sharing. So this was about leadership, and I had the past 2 nights dreams about the past person that I was with that was so damaging from the cult. He was trying to make his own cult and his own world order, which is what every psychopath tries to do here, and why the world is the way that it is, and we would all agree with that. But then I will tell you about now how Spirit told me how it is to lead, and how we all repeat those patterns. Number 1, because we don't think. Number 2, because we've never been taught to think for ourselves, because everything is external. Spirit is external. Everything is external. God's external, thought forms are external, society and culture is external, and so we're basically like this petri dish of stardust that we come here and we have to walk in the energetic patterns of the universe that we're in, or the toroidal field that we're experiencing through our bodies here. And some people say, well, we're all like particles and waves. Yeah, we are, but we came here to be more than that, because if we didn't come to be here to be more than that, we wouldn't be that. So I don't use people's philosophies as excuses to harm others or to put others down. So in my astrology and in my life, because of what I've gone through recently and in the last year, because of what Spirit's taught me, it all says that I have leadership, that I'm supposed to be a leader, that I have leadership qualities. And that's the last thing in the world I want. I like my bubble. I like to be left alone. I don't like cults, cultures, or petri dishes. I don't like how human beings think. I don't like how they follow everything external and then say that that's their internal source. Or seeing the patterns, which I'm super good at, and I used to say before, it's not any different than sleuthing. Scorpios are just naturally good at that, and Libras, which is mostly my chart, that we just naturally see, okay, if A is here, now B is going to come next. And I make that sound really simple, but it's not. I mean, if you think about people who wrote the greatest novels, or you think about the greatest spies, or people who have to think in certain ways to sleuth and figure out, who's the criminal, what's going on here. Well, Scorpios are often born with those abilities. We're like the sleuths and the Sherlock Holmes of the spiritual world and the physical world. So we can be very dangerous when we do not harness not only our gifts and abilities, but a goodly, not God, goodly reason for it, because to me the God is internal. To me, a real leader, if they don't know that the God is internal, and I don't mean like, I'm God, therefore I'm going to make everybody else's lives BS. I can start a cult. I can do many stupid things here on earth because I have control. Well, anyone who has the biggest weapon can be the best controller. And that is the prisoners in Plato's cave are following, those are the prison guards of Plato's cave. People who think that way are not out of Plato's cave. They can say all day long that they are, but they're not. They got a glimpse of what it is out, and then they did not want that. They wanted to come back and control the ignorant people who are still stuck in Plato's cave, and this is why the world goes on as it is. So, what Spirit was telling me is that when we have these resets and that there is total chaos, people revert to psychological kind of feralness, or what people would call their guts, or their forgive me if I'm stumbling over words, because when I first wake up, like we all do, I got some brain fog and the words don't flow as easily. So when I've learned something large and then I can't think of little words, like sometimes I will struggle with thinking of very little words because I have this bigger picture in my head and then I have to explain it. So long story short, it's how my brain works. My neurodivergence, which diverts thankfully away from most of the ways other people think. And I've been taught that over the years by my children, by getting out of religion, by getting into cults and getting out and seeing how stupid they are and how depraved they are, and how in Plato's cave the insane rule the plebeian and the submissive, and the ones who are religious followers or the ones who follow the external. Because what are you doing? You're not looking within, you're looking to an external system. And most of us don't know how to operate outside of that. It is the petri dish of all cultures, and we have very many little cultures and societies and belief systems within that. So when we have these breakdowns in cultures, it's our natural feral instincts, even before they happen, which is going on right now, and it's called a spiritual, enlightenment, explosion, whatever. No, it's natural order. This happens every time that stuff like this happens. People get hyper spiritual, as they would call it, because they're just getting more instinctual in order for nature to preserve people who will survive. Now, the evil people, they know this because they don't have any connections. Narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths, they don't connect from the outside. They connect from the inside out. But it's generally from a narcissistic, rebellious point of view. They cannot tolerate or see other people suffering. They just know they don't want to suffer and they want to be the leader. So in order to be the leader in Plato's cave, you have to be the biggest, worst narcissist, sociopath, psychopath, which means you have to cultivate brainwashing, what people call magic, which is natural order. Alchemy, you have to be the head of the head of the head. This is where all these belief systems and religions, 9/11, are cultivated from. When we get in these spaces where everything's chaotic and we reset, we go through these feral things because our body is evolving, because nature's like, hey, if you don't do this, X, Y, Z, you ain't going to be here to be A again. Alpha and Omega. So those people here that are evil, like I have met, that are evil twins, or that are the psychopaths that need to be either controlled or wiped out, they want to be here to set up the next Plato's cave and the next system here on Earth where everyone's feral and everyone needs a leader and everybody needs a hero, and nobody knows the hero within. So there you go, there's the reset, which the elites want, but they want to produce, because this is how they think. You've got to grasp how they think. They want to produce offspring just to literally rule and dominate and have things the way they want for their short or 130-year, 160-year lifespan, if they can, go that far. Which is why we always devolve. In every generation, the human genome devolves a little more, unless people band together in order to make things better. But here in this earth, in duality, the cycles are on repeat. And so we're going to pick gods external to us, leaders external to us. We're going to take our energy and our focus off the fact that we have everything we need inside of us. And during this chaos and horror and war and evil that's perpetrated during these times when there's chaos in a Kali Yuga, this Yuga, and some people argue that's here or not there, or where is it started, it's not started in 1111. I have my own ideas about it. It is trying to come into fruition, Saturnal age. And the evil people think that, everyone's just going to accept them and they're going to be the new leaders and the new demigods for the God meaning you, because we're all God. We are all the consciousness of God trying to evolve and learn on this earth. But always what happens is the cycles of external worship, planetary divination, using those planets for whatever you decide to use them for. Now, whenever you go to cultures that it is peaceful, or I'm not saying matriarchal or patriarchal is better, but matriarchal tends to be more peaceful. So it's only because if they've survived this long, that's why they've survived. And, it's rare that they don't get wiped out. So I'm not saying one's better than the other, because matriarchal or patriarchal does not matter, moon or sun, when one is guided from the inside. And this is what the Saturnal Aquarian age is supposed to be like. We're supposed to all be ruled from our internal light. And these are the prophecies and things that I've saw since way back, when I died even. Everybody and everything was lit from within. And that's what this next new age was going to be like. And I was a child in it, and I saw myself in that, and basically saw myself, I think, in somewhat of a future. But, of course, I was in a dreamscape and in a dying state, and so it's a little bit different. I could only interpret it with the archetype that I had and the knowledge and wisdom that I had at that point within my body, which was all projected outward because my spirit was not contained, 1313, within this vessel. Okay, and I'll tell you why. If I were to lead tomorrow after a war, this is what Spirit said to me needs to be done. It's showing me all these things of how we revert to Pharaoh, we revert to psychosis, and we become like our enemies. And then 1333, we need crazy order to bring stuff back together. And that's the point in the chaos being caused. So I'm going to talk about recovering from an age like this and avoiding the next one. So it's hard for me to, and after I've woken up, if I don't just like immediately say it. And I don't have the privacy. I was not home alone, to do this. So bear with me while I try to explain what's going on in my head. So like my question was, when I came back into my waking state in my body, was the toxicity of this person I was dreaming about who wants to rule over me and many other people. And thinking, like, why? Why does it always turn that way? Because when we're in a state of duress, we look to external leaders, those who know, those who see, those who hear from God, in other words, those who channel. And they're working with their highest good chakra up here, not yours, 1444. So at that point in time, in that history in time, in those leaders, in those Abrahamic, Brahmic, whatever ages, all right, they ran by what their chakra and their evolution was within this system and in this body, and the rules within this space, shape, time, dimension, frequency, particles and waves, you know? The storyline here and the cohesiveness of that. And so they ruled from that. Now, in this age where everyone is supposed to have some part of enlightenment in their third eye open, and the past age gods are scared to death of that and think they're going to avoid that by wiping out and starting things over again, which is what they always do, that they can control the next Saturnal age and keep people from knowing the within. I hope that in this age, the last age we have before the Earth turns and we have a new pole star, which is what happens here again, and that's the massive destruction of like the floods or the melting of the Earth, or whatever you call it in whatever stage. Excuse me, I need to blow my nose. So, anyways, when I'm looking at why these people take up space and rule again, it's because you do not know your highest power or your highest good, that upper chakra. And that's an individual thing, unless you don't know your own Godhead, which many people are coming to find. And this is the thing of what mystery schools are actually about the crown chakra, and teaching you about that and opening it and having somebody take that over, or teaching you how to use and utilize that tool for your own self, your own highest good, or you're going to give it up to a group or a cult or a religion. And then therefore, again, you're going to disconnect from the God within. This video, I'm going to tell you right away, is not going to be short. So what I was told about, I asked, like, why is it this way every time? And first of all, the question was because you don't know how to follow the internal God, nor to have the internal Godhead in that highest good of all chakra, or that highest chakra. People like to call it the highest good of all chakra because they believe their chakra is the one that should be the highest good of all. I don't believe that. I believe that's your God chakra, and that is your chakra with which you hear information that is for the highest good of all in your monadic group. So right now, people all over the earth are trying to reform these groups, these soul groups, and these earth tribes, and these belief systems all over again. And what happens is ruling class and ruling religion changes at these age and these epochs when they wipe stuff out and start over. And they always use a past religion, which Christianity ended 2,000 years ago, and that group left this earth, and there are obvious signs everywhere that people just massively, at one point, Abrahamic, Jewish, and Christian, just disappeared off the earth. And we know that, and it happened close to a couple thousand years ago, maybe 1800. And there is actually history of this happening that is being uncovered now. And since we need to do everything by science, and we can't explain spirituality or the fact that people could hive mind and leave this earth, so to speak, we don't talk about these things. And they've also been hidden by religions and by these groups I'm talking about that reform on the past tense religions and try to remake that, like Abraham did with the Brahmic. And what is being done now is that the mind and the body as a whole, is trying to scramble, rethink, redesign how it thinks and believes, so that it can go through this X marks the spot or totality point, or, reset, whatever you want to call it. And the religious ages that ruled before are just going to take the past religions as they have before, like Christianity, like Judaism, like all these isms and anities, and they're going to use them, excuse me while I fix my camera, in order to make up another false construct religion in order to control people. And if you follow the star stories of every age, every epoch that they set up on natural order, becomes these netters, like the Egyptian netters, look that up, becomes demigods. So instead of the natural order, which I'm going to speak on, which is part of every human being and every order within us here in this dimension, frequency, space, particle, whatever waves, whatever you want to call it here. They just use the past astrology, star systems, and channelers, like New Age channelers talking about Pleiadians, Arcturians, all these things. And I'm not saying at one point Earth was not a place where people came and went, because that's been, to me, proven beyond a shadow of a doubt with temples, especially ones way up on mountains. And that there are not gods or elemental rulers of this earth. I believe there are. Disembodied, different things. It's why the world in and of itself is a physical being like us, with chakra, with the cap, magnetic cap, the mountains, and the caps on each of the poles. So our body is also like the Earth's bodies here, and why we are made after those images so that we can live here among what we're supposed to. So these images all reflect the order of this God in this universe, in this frequency domain. If you believe there are many other alternate realities, I'll explain it that way. Some people only believe here is here and that's it. After this, it's over and you go to some quasi-heaven, not another dimension. But since we're all particles, waves, and frequencies and vibrations, we've got to vibrate somewhere in some domain. So either we get to the place where we can create our own domain, which is being an eternal alchemist, or we create after what is already here. And we have to create no matter what within the order that is already here. We can't go against the nature here. We can find flexibility in it and make people think we're magic because we understand secrets of natural order. But it's just how much can you bend reality within this reality. So 20 minutes. I'm going to stop and start again. 2, 2, 2, 2.